Hi, in this video I am going to show you the changes of Audacity 3.6.2. I am not going to discuss the changes of 3.6.2 only, but the overall changes of 3.6. If you have used older Audacity like 3.5 or older version, then you will know exactly what changes are in Audacity 3.6 and what kind of adjustment you have to make. So you can see that I have already installed 3.6.2 and there is a specific change, a particular change on 3.6.2. I'll show you that. What is that one? Audacity 3.6.2 has brought back the legacy effects. Some of the legacy effects you can see that a new menu has been added named legacy, and in the legacy there are three effects: classic filters, legacy compressor, and legacy limiter. So if you are familiar with the old compressor, then legacy compressor or legacy limiter will be a relief to you, because in the Audacity 3.6 the compressor has got a total new look, a total new algorithm. The compressor and limiter doesn't work the old way in the newer Audacity, on the 3.6 of Audacity. So if you are familiar with older compressor, then this will be a relief to you, because you can use this like you used before without learning the new compressor. You can see that a legacy compressor is exactly the same of the old compressor. And what changes now we have got in compressor? If we check the regular compressor of the Audacity, then you can see it has got a totally different look. The configurations are different, and you may be familiar with the threshold and ratio. Those are from the older Audacity. In older compressor you already have seen these settings, but it has introduced new two settings like makeup gain and knee. And how the compressor will be active depends on this smoothing area, look ahead, attack and release. And this time you have to be a bit careful with the settings, because if you are familiar with the older compressor, then you don't have to worry too much about this. But let me show you why you need to understand the new compressor very well. I'll go to the default settings. So the attack and release, the way it is configured, is not going to affect a voiceover that much. If I apply this default configuration, then you can see nothing happens. So compressor is not actually active on this audio. So to make it active or to make it work on your audio, you have to actually change the attack and release. And one of the best way to find a proper configuration for attack and release for a voice is to use the lead vocals. So if you use the lead vocals, then the attack and release configured in a way so that will be the compressor will be active on the voiceover, and you can change the threshold and ratio, and you can decide actually how much compression do you want. So if you are migrating to Audacity 3.6, then you should know the compressor now works in this way. The limiter is also changed. The limiter also got a totally new look, totally new algorithm, and totally new settings. So you have to learn this, the compressor and limiter from a scratch if you are going to use the Audacity 3.6. Your older learning of Audacity compressor and limiter won't be effective in Audacity 3.6. So Audacity 3.6, these two major changes, compressor and limiter. Then there is another change that is in the effect and real-time effect. If I go to the real-time effect, you can see that there is a master effects section. This master effect section is actually when you are working with multiple tracks. When you are working with multiple tracks, then you can add any effect from here, and that will be applied to all the tracks. Currently you can see only one track on my screen, so it is not useful in this case. But when I have multiple tracks and I want to apply a common effect to all the tracks, then the master effects will be useful. So actually Audacity is kind of moving toward a fully fledged DAW, the music production DAW which you are familiar with. which are available, and Audacity is kind of moving towards that way. And another thing about the real-time effects is the compressor and limiter is now shows something that it can be configured in real time. So you can see there is a awaiting playback region here. Awaiting playback region, what it does is actually when you play the audio, then it will show actually how much compression you are getting. I will just undo this, and yes, I'll undo this and I'll open the compressor again to and if I play the audio, then you can see that okay, if I play the audio, you can see that there are something moving, and at the top there is a yellow line, and the yellow line denotes the amount of compression. So if your settings need to be adjusted, then you can understand if it needs to be adjusted, because if I take down the threshold, you can see the yellow line is getting below. That means the compression is active when I am taking down the threshold, and with the ratio and threshold you can actually understand how much compression it is doing from the bar. There is a yellow bar here, and this bar actually represents how much compression you are getting. So if that is low, then that means you are not getting too much compression. For example, if I set it to 1, then you can see that not much movement on the yellow bar, but with the more ratio and with the threshold you can see something. So this is a new way of working with the compressor, and I'll make a details video on it soon. On the compressor and on the limiter, I'll make a details video. So these are the main big changes of Audacity 3.6. But beside that, there are some few other changes. There are some bug fixes or small changes here and there, and I want to mention on another change regarding the interface. Audacity has now introduced the concept of theme. If you go to Audacity preference, you will see in the interface, and then there is option to choose theme, and for me I have selected classic. And if you install the 3.6, by default you will get the light theme, and the light theme is looking like this. And if the waveform is not selected now, and if I double click, then it is selected. So these are the color scheme of the light theme. There are other themes, so it is up to you which theme you would prefer to use, but I prefer the classic theme. It is kind of make the interface same like the older Audacity, and I am comfortable with this one. So it is up to you which interface you want to use or which theme you want to use. So these are the major changes of Audacity 3.6. If you are migrating to Audacity 3.6, then you have to learn the compressor from the scratch, or otherwise you can't fit this into your workflow. So that was the overall change of Audacity 3.6, and now I want to show you one of my service. I have launched premium audiobook narration consulting. So over the years I have guided people successfully producing their audiobooks. So I generally help two kind of people. One group of people is writer who want to narrate their own audiobooks, and another group of people are the voiceover artists who want to get into the voiceover career, and I have helped them to win more auditions and win voiceover jobs. And I will put some links. Here is an example where a writer has published his audiobook in Amazon and Audible. He is Stephen D. Weber, and Stephen D. Weber actually took my services, my consulting, and he successfully narrated his audiobook and published in Audible. So he was completely beginner when he started this, and my courses, my services actually helped him to publish his audiobook by his own. And here is another testimonial from Lee. Lee is a voiceover artist, and he's producing voiceover or audiobook narrations for many companies, many publications, and he actually knew some audio editing. He knew the basics of narrations, the basics of audiobook editing. All these things he already knew, but when he was more serious about his job, when he wanted to make sure everything is right, he actually consulted with me. So I will give these links in the description. You can read this and have an idea actually which group of people I have helped on audiobook narrations and voiceover. And if you want to know more about my premium consulting, then you can of course send me an email and we can discuss there, or you can add me on LinkedIn and you can message me there. I'll put all these links in the description. Thank you for watching. See you next.